From the bustling streets of Athens and the historic port of Hydra, to the beaches of Zakynthos and the villages of Kythera, our journey over the coming week spans many of the Ionian Islands. Some well known, others that few ever get to visit. But before heading off, you probably want to know a little bit about me. My story starts as a boy growing up in the inner suburbs of Sydney. Like a lot of Greeks early last century, my parents moved overseas to find a better life abroad. They arrived with very little and worked extremely hard to give my sisters and I a loving upbringing. They also made me believe that if I too worked hard enough, I could achieve anything. 54 years later, I've built a successful business, and that has enabled me to do things I once only dreamed of. One of those dreams was to step foot on all 227 inhabited Greek islands, and I'm going to take a big chunk out of that in this first series. Last episode, I left the stunning island of Spetses and made my way to the ever-popular holiday destination of Hydra. It's a busy tourist hub, not only thanks to its close proximity to Athens, but also the old-world charm of the cobbled streets and historic port area. Sitting in the Aegean just off the southern tip of the mainland, its position is placed at the centre of trade routes. However, it wasn't just merchant shipping that put Hydra on the map. It further cemented its place in Greek history during the 1821 War of Independence. And it was this man, Admiral Miaoulis, the leader of the Hydriots, along with Bouboulina of Spetses, who helped destroy the Ottoman fleet and subsequently liberate Greece. This strong will has long been part of the Hydriot people's DNA, making them prevalent in the politics of Greece over the last 200 years.
And let me show you the moment that we've got here of the 5 prime ministers of Greece that were born in Hydra. Hydra is the birthplace of 5 prime ministers.
Wow.
It's an amazing number for such a small island. And also Hydra is the birthplace of the first president of the Hellenic Republic, Pavlos Kouduriotis.
So who do we have here, Yorgo?
It's George Kouduriotis, Antonios Kriezis, Dimitrios Voulgaris, Athanasios Miaoulis, and Petros Voulgaris.
Miaoulis, who the festival is about?
No.
This is another Miaoulis, is it?
Yeah, it's a brother of Miaoulis.
Well, I'm looking forward to the festival.
We are all looking forward. We have been preparing throughout the year.
Thank you, Yorgo.
The festival we mention is the Miaoulia Festival. It's an annual event to celebrate the contribution Hydra made to the War of Independence. And like all parties in Greece, it goes off with a bang. The celebration draws people from across the country and other parts of the world. Politicians, clergy and military leaders converge on the island, along with thousands more tourists than normal. All here to sing, dance, eat, drink and commemorate this most important moment in history. Everywhere you look, there are smiling, happy people, all here for the party. But even outside the festival time, the place is a happy one. Such is the Hydriot way of life. Leonard Cohen, God bless your soul. I know now why you never left. Hallelujah.
Costa's been doing this since 1978. He hasn't missed a year. He even left his post as a soldier to come here in Hydra and celebrate the Miaoulia Festival. That's how important to him was it.
The final day of festivities begins with the reenactment of the first shots fired at the Ottoman fleet. For Costa and his mates, who by the way are dressed as Pontians of the time, this is a very proud moment.
Δεν μου λες, Κώστα, αυτό που κάνετε σήμερα, γιατί το κάνετε, τι είναι...
Γιορτάζουμε το θάνατο του Μιαούλη,
ναι.
Τα 180 χρόνια από το θάνατο του Ανδρέα Μιαούλη.
Ναι.
Μαζί με τον Μιαούλη όμως γιορτάζουμε και τους άλλους πρωταγωνιστές
ναι.
της Επαναστάσεως του 1821, Ιδραίους και μη.
Bravo.
Πάντα.
Bravo.
Costa is a larger-than-life character that I couldn't imagine being anything other than the soldier he's acting out today. His passion is infectious. He showed me the pistols, musket and knives that form part of his regalia. They're authentic pieces dating back to the early 1800s. His knowledge of the weapons and events of the time were incredible, but you can expect nothing less from a proud Hydriot. Costa and his company of soldiers play an important part in the week's festivities. Today is the beginning of it all. And not only are they going to fight the Ottoman fleet, but they'll also lead a number of processions around the port and eventually light the torch that will set the invading vessels alight. It's a role he's very proud of, and rightly so. No doubt he'll be doing this until the end of his days.
Χάρηκα που σε γνώρισα, Κώστα. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ.
Πάντα να είστε.
Να πάρω εγώ το τουφέκι τώρα.
Είναι γαλλικό.
Να το πάρω εγώ.
Είναι γαλλικό τουφέκι.
Ναι, δικό μου δεν είναι. Δικό μου.
All these characters, the colours, the sounds of exploding cannons and smell of the gunpowder were getting the adrenaline pumping. I just wanted to get amongst all the action. As a Greek Navy patrol boat passed by, flanked by a parading flotilla of water taxis, the excitement really kicked off. This is essentially the beginning of the conflict. It's a symbolic gesture of a defining event that shaped a nation. The cannon fire echoes through the port, and if you weren't aware there was a festival underway, you might think a war was breaking out. Celebrations like these are unifying moments that instill pride in your past, and for the younger generation, ignite curiosity to learn about the likes of Miaoulia and the events that unfolded here in the 1820s. If it wasn't for Miaoulia, Bubulina and the brave sailors that fought alongside them, Greece may well have remained under Ottoman control until today, though something tells me that the balance of free societies would have eventually prevailed. This is the Greece you want to see and experience. Not just the beaches and museums, but the passion and pride of the people, and the bringing back to life of its history. It's by understanding Greece's past that you can get an appreciation for what you see today, and also an understanding of the independence and differing personality of each island. No two are the same, and the locals will make sure you're well aware of that. While standing on the fort, I looked out and saw what I thought was a pirate ship being towed to shore. Mayor George suggested I follow it to find out exactly what it was. It turns out it was a setup. What I found was a bunch of crazy locals, and what's more, they put me to work. In the hour I was there, we must have put at least 100 bags of kindling into the boat. It wasn't until halfway through that I thought to ask, what was it all about? Turns out this vessel was the highlight of tonight's festivities.
Πότε θα έρθουν τα πυροβολικά?
Σε μία ωρίτσα σκάφη.
Σε μία ωρίτσα? Πού θα τα βάλε, παντού εδώ?
Παντού όλοι μέσα γεμίσει.
Look down there, you can see this is basically an old fishing boat. It's an old fishing boat. Go back there, you'll see it's an old fishing boat. And they've just built this frame around it to mimic an old Miaoulian vessel from the 1800s. And what's going to happen tonight is they're going to put fireworks in it this afternoon and then burn it. And it's going to symbolise when the Greek fleet went into the Ottoman fleet with a smaller fleet, smaller boats, and wiped out the Ottoman fleet by just burning their vessels down. And this is what the celebration's about, Miaoulian celebration. It happens every year, it's awesome. Πόσα κιλά πυροτεχνικά θα βάλετε?
Αυτό είναι γύρω στα 350 κιλά.
350 kilos of fireworks going on this.
Πυροτεχνουργικής ύλης.
Δεν κατάλαβα αυτά. Είναι Αυστραλός και δεν κατάλαβα.
Αυστραλός.
Ναι.
Είναι μπαρούτι.
Μπαρούτι. Gunpowder. Μπορούμε να τα δούμε?
Αυτό που θα τα βγάλουμε και να το βάλουμε.
Ναι. Nice. Look at all this stuff. I feel like taking some from my boat. Look at this. Awesome. 350 kilos of fireworks. Man, this thing's going to go. Woo! Με έκανες υπάλληλο, έτσι. Υπάλληλος. Came here to celebrate with them and I'm working with them as well. Ωραία. Τι κάνεις αυτά, τι κάνεις ρε. Τι κάνεις, εγώ φεύγω ρε, τι είναι αυτά, They're gonna kill me, man. I'm going, he's smoking a cigarette.
Now you know what I mean by crazy locals. They've been doing things this way year after year without incident. But there's no way I was hanging around.
Crazy. You know, there are 6,000 islands right throughout Greece. And I've made it my mission in life to step on every single one. Now, this little tiny rock, island rock, I don't even know what the name of it is, but it's opposite Hydra. And I'm going to check it out right now. Thanks, Red. Surprise, surprise, Ionicola, or St. Nicholas. St. Nicholas is the patron saint of the sailor, and you will see a St. Nicholas on almost every island in Greece. And the priests on the island are pretty busy with the Miaoulia Festival. I think it's my duty to ring the bell. What a beautiful spot. I might say a prayer.
I'm not the most religious guy, but in moments like this, I can't help but feel the faith. It's something that's embedded in all Greeks.
Peter, the reason I stay in this hotel is because the street it's in, just have a look up there.
Ah, Saktouri Street, awesome.
Absolutely.
This is Nick Satouris. His grandfather was a Greek admiral, and what's even more impressive is that one of his ancestors was the Hydriot Admiral Yorgos Saktouris from the War of Independence. Nick was born and raised in Australia, and until recently was relatively unaware of his ancestors' details. He's now well versed and passionate about his heritage.
Why do you keep coming back to Greece?
Well, my kids, we raised them as Greeks back in Sydney. They went to Greek school, they did Greek dancing, they go to the church. What better way to have them see where it all came from but to return to Greece, our Patridha, and see where it all began. And I'm so proud that they've come back and that I'm with them and I can show them Greece and in particular Hydra, where
Fantastic.
my father was from and my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather.
So Nick, this has been a pretty heavy walk. Is it far from here?
It's not far, in fact I think it's just up ahead, up on the left. It's my family home here in Hydra. My father's father was an admiral and my father was born in Salamina in a naval base, and he came to live in this house as an infant, and it's this one here just on the left, the one with the blue door.
So you mentioned that your grandfather was an admiral as well?
Yes, Peter, he was an admiral, and I come from a family of seamen.
Wow. So what is it? Saktouris Gymnasio Hydra. So this is now the high school, but it says Dorea Antonios Saktouris. So this was given by your family to the state for a high school.
That's right.
Being here and touching this house that's been in your family for 250 years up until recently, how does that feel?
It's very, very special. I just can't believe it. It's so important to find out as much as I can about my family, just to think that my father lived in this house at some stage, and it's a house that was owned by my great ancestor, and it's so important that I see it, that I bring my kids and they see it, and learn as much as I can about the family, and that's why I come to Hydra. Yeah. And it's really opened my eyes, and it's a beautiful island, and just to see our heritage and to see where my parents lived, it's unforgettable.
I can see it in your face, mate. I want to learn more about your great-great-great-great-grandfather.
Well, I think there's a place you can, and that's at the museum.
Excellent. Well, let's go.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
There's nothing more important than family. And when you've spent your life not knowing the entire story of your past, then suddenly becoming enlightened, it's an incredibly liberating thing. Completing the picture can help answer questions or give you a sense of purpose. In this case, it also created a huge amount of pride for Nick. His forefathers had achieved such great things, impacting history and helping to lay the foundations of modern Greece. For him to be able to share this story with his children will hopefully inspire them to set lofty goals and also aspire to making a difference in the world. At the least, it will give them the understanding of their heritage and how blessed they are to have had ancestors that fought for the freedoms that Greeks enjoy today.
Ωραία.
About 20 minutes ride from Hydra is a tiny island called Dokos. In all honesty, it's not a port of call for your average tourist. However, the mayor mentioned to me that during World War II, a German plane crashed on the island, and parts of it still exist. Of course, I had to find out more, and that's when I came across George. Not only did he know where the wreck was, but more importantly, he knew the story behind it. Dokos is one of those barely inhabited landmasses in the Mediterranean that you could easily pass without ever knowing it hides a fascinating history. Behind the dry landscape and dilapidated buildings lie all sorts of tales. Many of these now deserted isles were once thriving communities, but as time passed and the modern trappings became available in larger, nearby towns, these places were left in search of a better life.
Κοίτα θέα, What a view. Και εσύ το βλέπεις κάθε μέρα. Κάθε μέρα το βλέπεις.
Σαββατοκύριακο.
You see it every day. Λοιπόν, Γιώργο, αυτή η εκκλησία ποια είναι?
Η εκκλησία είναι η Παναγία.
Η Παναγία.
Εδώ έχουν γίνει
The
γάμοι,
Virgin Mary.
έχουν γίνει βαφτίσια, Βέβαια, όλοι εδώ.
Βαφτίσια και εδώ.
Και βαφτίσια και γάμους, βέβαια.
You've had christenings and weddings in this church. Πάμε να ανάψουμε ένα κερί.
Ναι, τελευταία βαφτίσαμε το παιδί του παπά εδώ.
Ναι.
Πάντα σημαίνουμε όταν ερχόμαστε για να ακούσουν όσοι είναι.
Μπράβο, ωραία.
Εδώ.
Τι ωραία που είναι εδώ. Ησυχία. It's very serene in here. Και Γιώργο, ποιος φέρνει το λάδι αυτό?
Φέρνει πάρα πολύ κόσμος, αλλά μία κυρία η οποία είχε έρθει πρόπερση μου στέλνει 300 ευρώ κάθε χρόνο από την Αμερική να αγοράζω λάδι για τις εκκλησίες.
Τι ωραίο πράγμα αυτό. Μπράβο, πολύ ωραίο.
Της άρεσε, συγκινήθηκε πολύ που μας είδε να ανάβουμε το εκκλησάκι ένα απόγευμα και ευχαριστήθηκε πάρα πολύ και κάθε χρόνο μου στέλνει. Κάθε χρόνο μου λέει, όσο ζω θα σου στέλνω, μου λέει, χρήματα για να ανάβετε τα καντήλια σε όλες τις εκκλησίες.
Ωραία.
George was born on the island but now lives in Hydra with his family. No power or water and little means by which to make an income forced them to leave. However, they regularly come back to care for the buildings and holiday here. What brought me to the island was to find the wreckage of a Stuka dive bomber. These infamous machines of war were known for their destructive power. The screaming sound of the engines as they dove towards their targets struck fear into the hearts of anyone who heard it and earned them the nickname the Trumpets of Jericho. George knew the story in absolute detail and told it with passion. It's as though he was there when it all unfolded. He explained how the German aircrew crash-landed in the field while the villagers were busy working. Miraculously, both the Germans survived and were helped back to a nearby farmhouse that was owned at the time by his grandfather. They were then offered food and water but didn't eat until the villagers ate first, as they thought it may be poisoned. You could imagine the shock for the aircrew to find that these people, from a country they'd invaded, were so willing to help them.
Και τους κάνανε με νοήματα φάτε πρώτα εσείς και μετά εμείς. Οπότε μόλις είδανε να τρώνε, αναγκαστικά ξεθαρέψανε, φάγανε και αυτοί, τους ευχαρίστησανε.
Dokos once had a population of 150, but like I mentioned earlier, tough times, in part caused by drought, saw most of the families leave for neighbouring towns or Athens. Today there's only one family of 4 left permanently inhabiting the island. Little rain and poor soil makes farming hard, but they manage to scratch a living from the earth. And despite the challenging life they lead, George tells me they're happy.
Να το βρήκαμε. Wow, it's here. Here it is.
Αυτά είναι κάποια από τα κομμάτια που έχουν παραμείνει εδώ από το αεροπλάνο.
Και δεν μου... and that's the bottom of the fuselage. There is the tail gunner's canopy. Και αυτό είναι το μπροστινό. This is the front.
Το μπροστινό, το ψυγείο του και κάποια άλλα τμήματα.
George went on to explain that once the Germans had eaten, they spent the night in his grandfather's house. The following morning, Pilot and his grandfather rowed a small boat 2 hours across to the mainland, where they went to a German base to find help. They were told to row back and sit with the plane until others arrived. Days later, aid came in the form of a hydroplane, and once there, the Germans stripped the Stuka of all valuable items, and after thanking the hospitable villagers for saving their lives, they departed. This is a wonderful story about humanity. Even though the Germans were their enemy, the people here showed kindness, not through fear, but because it was the right thing to do.
Δεν ξέρω ακριβώς τι έχει γίνει, πάντως αυτά παραμείνανε.
What a great story. Πάμε να πιούμε ένα καφέ. Πάμε, γιατί ζέστη. Να το πάρω μαζί μου.
Όχι.
Το αφήσω
καλύτερα
έτσι.
να μένει εδώ για την ιστορία.
Πάμε.
Να το βλέπουν και οι επόμενοι.
Να το βλέπουν άλλοι, έτσι.
Ναι, και οι
We'll
επόμενοι.
leave it for somebody else to look at.
Before we grabbed the coffee, George wanted to show me one last thing. And because it was so special, they had to hide it to prevent it from getting stolen.
Και αυτό είναι λίγο βαρύ. Να το βγάλω να το δεις. Ορίστε, αυτό είναι το κάθισμα του πιλότου.
This is the pilot's seat in the Junkers Stuka.
Και έχει πολύ θωράκιση για να μην το περνάει από πίσω η σφαίρα. Είναι πολύ χοντρό, έχει πολύ χοντρό μέταλλο.
Ναι. A lot of armor. If you see the thickness of this, there's armor so that if they shot from the back, it protected the most important part of the plane, the pilot. Wow. Να το βάλουμε πίσω.
Ναι, θα το κρύψουμε πάλι
Το
για να
κρύψουμε
μην...
πάλι. We're going to hide it because we don't want people to take this.
Κλέψουμε. Όπα. Εκεί. Δεν το ξέρουν, γι' αυτό το κρύβουμε. Δεν το ξέρουν γιατί είναι αμαρτία. Ας υπάρχουν κάποια κομμάτια να το βλέπουν και οι νεότεροι για να μαθαίνουν την ιστορία.
Λοιπόν, μας περιμένει το καφέ, έτσι.
Πάμε. Πάμε για καφεδάκι τώρα γιατί έχει ζέστη σήμερα, έχει ζέστη.
Οπα.
Πρόσεχε.
The next stop was something really special. We visit plenty of churches during our travels, but the little one you're about to see has quite a story behind it. It might not look like anything remarkable, but to mariners, it's very significant. Legend has it that a ship was caught in a violent storm. The merchant on board looked to the heavens and said that if God saved them, wherever they made landfall, he would build a church.
Μου λες, Γιώργο, ακόμα λειτουργάνε εδώ.
Ναι, πολλές φορές και περνάνε οι ναυτικοί, ανάβουν και το καντιλάκι εκεί. Έρχονται συνήθως, κάνουν πολλές λειτουργίες γίνονται. Έρχονται, τη συντηρούνε, τη φτιάχνουν.
The story goes on to claim that the cargo of the vessel was wine, and the merchant was so thankful for having been saved that he used the wine in the mortar of the walls. Now that's pretty special.
George tells me that there's a possibility the wine did actually go into the mud for the bricks, and the boys that were labouring on it actually drunk it. I don't know. I prefer to think that it went into the mud.
This is a great example of how local knowledge can bring the seemingly ordinary to life. Regardless of where the wine went, this quaint little church now holds a place in history. And for centuries to come, the story will no doubt keep evolving and be embellished, just a little.
Tonight we've been invited to a Greek function, the Miaoulia Festival, and we probably won't be eating until like 10:30 like Greeks. I'm in bed by 9:30, so I've asked my favourite chef, Kyriako, to make us something light that we can have very small portions of, and I don't know if Kyriako understands what small portions are, at about 5:36 before we head out. So he's decided to make Araka Anginares, which is peas mixed with artichokes. Καλημέρα, Kyriako. How are you?
Καλώς ήρθατε. Πολύ καλά.
Λοιπόν, τι έχουμε εδώ?
Έχουμε 1 κιλό αρακά.
1 kilo of peas, 6 or 7 artichokes, which is around about half a kilo of artichokes, 5 or 6 potatoes,
2 καρότα.
and 2 carrots, 4 tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, he's taken the guts out of them, some dill and an onion. And we're just chopping up the onion.
Ναι.
Πρόσεξε τα δάχτυλα, έτσι. Μην κοπείς. I'm just worried that he'll chop his fingers off. He's only been doing this for 25 years, you know? Να το κοιτάς, Κοιτά αλλού, he's looking at the captain, you know? Κόπηκες! Τι σου είπα! I told you! Δεν μ' ακούς! Καπετάνια δεν ξέρει. He didn't listen to me, he got cut. And that's the first time I've seen him cut in 2 years. It's because he's nervous with behind the camera. Λοιπόν, τι θα κάνουμε τώρα?
Θα πετάξουμε όλο τον αρακά μέσα.
All the peas inside. Okay.
Και θα το σκεπάσουμε με λίγο νεράκι και λάδι.
Okay.
Greeks love their food, so it's only fitting that we share some of the local secret recipes when we can. By the way, Kyriako let the peas boil for 10 minutes before setting them aside.
Το δάχτυλο είναι καλά τώρα?
Ναι.
The finger's okay now. Apparently it's cured like that. He's fine. Τώρα αυτό θα βάλουμε στο φούρνο, έτσι. Για πόση ώρα?
1 ώρα θέλει.
Μην κοπείς πάλι.
Όχι.
So I was just asking him how long it's going to go in the oven for. He's having a go at me now. We're going to put it in the oven for about an hour. Σε τι θερμοκρασία? Κοίτα και κάτω. Σε τι θερμοκρασία?
180 βαθμούς.
At about 180 degrees for an hour in the oven when we put all this together. So we now have the artichokes, the potatoes, the carrots in our dish. Τι άλλο?
Θα κόψουμε και τις ντομάτες.
He's going to cut up the tomatoes. The tomatoes in Greece in summer, in the Balkans generally, are absolutely glorious. I mean, you just can eat tomato on its own with a bit of olive oil and some salt, some of the rock salt they have here.
Λίγο αγγούρι τέλος.
And a little bit of cucumber. I've still got the tomato taste in my mouth. And we just put them in like, ooh, yeah. It's actually a very simple dish. And I'm asking Kyriako for a a little bit and look at this. This is what's going to feed half of Greece.
Είναι πολύ ελαφρύ.
Πολύ αλάτι, έτσι.
Ναι, το πράσινο
Ναι.
και στο μαρούλι. Οτιδήποτε πράσινο θέλει αλάτι.
Whatever's green needs salt.
Και το μυστικό, επειδή είναι φρέσκια ντομάτα,
Ναι.
θέλει να βάλουμε πολύ λίγο ζάχαρη.
Ooh, and because it's fresh tomato, we need to put a little bit of sugar.
Αυτό.
And we're ready to put it in the oven. Και πόση ώρα θέλει?
Μια ωρίτσα σίγουρα και λίγο παραπάνω ίσως.
About an hour, maybe a little bit longer. Just enough να πάμε για κολύμπι. Πάμε για κολύμπι.
Πάμε.
We're going to go for a swim. We'll be back in an hour.
When we went out for a swim, we saw this beauty sitting there beyond the harbour. So naturally, I diverted and asked permission to come aboard. A couple of weeks ago, while in Athens, I'd seen one of these fast patrol boats at the naval base. But to actually get aboard an active vessel, now that's a different story.
Λοιπόν, Παναγιώτη, όταν είσαι στο Πειραιά και είσαι με την οικογένεια σου στο σπίτι, άμα σε τηλεφωνήσει ο ναύαρχος να σου πει πήγε αμέσως έξω, πόση ώρα είναι να πας σπίτι, βγαίνεις από το σπίτι και πας έξω?
Η ζωή μου είναι πάντα με ένα τηλέφωνο στο χέρι. Έχει συμβεί αρκετές φορές να χτυπάει το τηλέφωνο και σε 2 ώρες να πρέπει να λύσουμε. Εκεί αφήνεις την οικογένειά σου και αναλαμβάνει η γυναίκα σου στο σπίτι. Το γιος μου που είναι τώρα 14 μηνών, τον έχει μεγαλώσει ουσιαστικά η γυναίκα μου. Έχει χρειαστεί αρκετές φορές να φύγω εκτάκτως και να λείψω από το σπίτι από 20 έως 40 μέρες.
Και ο γιος σου, το όνομα του?
Όνομα δεν έχει ακόμα, είναι 14 μηνών, αλλά...
Και δεν τον έχεις βαφτίσει ακόμα?
Δεν τον έχω βαφτίσει, δυστυχώς, γιατί λείπω συνέχεια.
Πω.
Προσπαθώ να βρω ένα κενό 30 ημερών να μείνω σπίτι ώστε να οργανώσω μια βάφτιση. Νομίζω ότι κάπως τώρα σε λίγο πρέπει να το επισπεύσω, γιατί babies είναι δύσκολο.
Captain Panayoti has a 14-month-old boy and he hasn't had a chance to christen it. He hasn't given him a name because he's out on duty most of the time. This is the life of a Navy man, especially in Greece.
Greece has conscription laws that mean from the ages of 19 to 45, all males have to join the armed forces for a minimum of 9 to 12 months. Although it's not compulsory for females, they can serve if they want to, and many of those that volunteer excel in their positions. On this ship, from a crew of 40, 6 are women, all of whom hold high rank.
They're just loading up one of the machine guns that's on the side deck, small arms fire. It's actually a development of the German MG-42 that was in World War II, but this is, I think, the MG, πώς το λένε, Captain? MG3, that they use, and we're just loading up the bullets. I think they're 7.62 millimeters, then, isn't there? Yes. 7.62 millimeters, there, I know what I'm talking about. Occasionally I know what I'm talking about. Look at that, and there's a nice belt of bullets there. I'm not going to fire this because I just want to see what it's like. I will not even hold. Over the years, the development of the technology on these craft, this is probably one of the best missile boats in the world. If you wanted this technology 25 or 30 years ago, you would have needed a boat 3 times, 4 times the size, or maybe 3 or 4 boats. So, you know, packs a punch. Packs a big punch here, I tell you.
Continuing my conversation with the captain, I asked him if being a career officer is worth all the sacrifices he makes. And I couldn't help but wonder how it made him feel to look at Hydra and see the reactions of locals when they watched the Navy pass by. His answer didn't really surprise me.
Βλέπουμε και την αγάπη τους για το ναυτικό και τότε αυτό μας δίνει δύναμη. Όση κούραση και να έχεις, όσες μέρες και να λείπεις από το σπίτι σου, η αγάπη που σου δείχνουν οι Έλληνες στα κρητικά νησιά, σε ακριτικές περιοχές της Ελλάδος, είναι αυτό που είναι η καλύτερη επιβράβευση.
Ναι, είναι πολύ ωραία. Λοιπόν,
είναι το πρώτο και το τελευταίο.
Πολύ ωραία.
I've met a lot of interesting people in my time, and often I'm left in awe of their stories. For most, it's rarely been steady sailing. There are always periods of turbulence that have tested them, but it's through loss or down times that you come to truly appreciate life. Captain Panagiotis represents all who serve in the armed forces. His dedication and the sacrifices he's made left me moved. In the next bay over from the main port is Mandraki. I came here not only to enjoy the beauty and serenity, but also to see Arthur and his new hotel in what was once a lazaretta. Like a lot of expats I've come across, Arthur visited Hydra 10 years ago and never left. Who knows? I might just end up doing the same someday. He's in the process of building, and after 2 years of toil, there's still a long way to go. However, he remains upbeat and full of confidence that it will all come together eventually.
Come this way.
It's said that in the 1960s, Frank Sinatra stayed here, at a time when the hotel was considered to be quite exclusive.
Such a beautiful building. Architecturally, it's...
Amazing, isn't it?
It is. Arthur, I understand the Black Plague killed many on the island in 1792, and this building is significant for that reason.
Many people were taken here into sanctuary in the hope that they would get better, and they were all in these bungalows at the back, and then this was the main operation building in here.
Right. And then what happened to it after that?
It got turned into a shipyard.
Right.
And Admiral Miaoulis built the ships that went out and beat the Turks from this shipyard
From this building. So it's had adaptive reuse once, and now what are you doing in the second adaptive reuse?
We're like 3B, right? And at some point in the 60s, it got turned into a hotel. And to begin with, it was a really successful place because standards in those days, you didn't have to be that high to be great, right?
Yes.
And then it fell into disrepair and got abandoned. And now we're trying to reinstate it into a really exclusive kind of place for people to come.
Right, okay, so it's going to be a hotel again. So it started as a hospice, then it went to a shipyard, then it turned into a hotel, and now, fourth go, it's a hotel again.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a better hotel now.
Fantastic. Wow, I love the architecture. And obviously, there's a lot of work in working with the archaeological ministry.
It's really great to enjoy the architecture until you're trying to do an operation with the damn place.
Right, okay.
And then you tend to not quite appreciate the architecture quite so much. We're not allowed to touch anything. We're not allowed to change anything, right? And whilst it's a beautiful space, it doesn't have all the space that I need to run an efficient hotel.
Right.
Right? So we're going to end up with very few rooms.
Right.
But it will be lovely, and it will look like it used to. We're restoring it, and at the same time, we're improving it in that we're putting in the infrastructure that is necessary, that didn't exist 300 years ago, right?
Exactly.
And now there's this proper drains and water and air conditioning and little things like that, right?
Well, I look forward to coming back when it's open.
Well, we'll be open next summer.
Excellent.
See, the hotel that was built in the 60s,
Yep.
that was 2 rooms.
That was 2 rooms?
That was 2 rooms.
So 14 rooms only, I mean,
yeah,
that's difficult. But you've got all these beach umbrellas that are going to be here, so you're going to be catering from other people from the port, I would think.
I'm not doing this as a commercial venture.
Right, yes.
I'm doing this as something to keep me occupied while I'm here.
Yes.
And actually something to help the local community. I'm using local builders.
Excellent, mate.
Rather than shipping people into
That's
Athens
wonderful.
to do all this.
That's wonderful.
Putting my builder's hat on, I'm a little worried about Arthur's plans to be open by next summer. If my experience in Australia is anything to go by, heritage laws will make things much slower than expected. And knowing the strict Greek system, he's in for a challenging time ahead. Hopefully though, one day sooner than later, I'll bring the family here for a couple of nights stay in what will almost certainly be a beautifully restored hotel. Now about that swim I wanted to have earlier. This place is perfect to wet the toes. That said, I've got a 6-foot-tall, 120-kilogram chef waiting for me to try his Araka, and I'm already overdue. The last person I want to upset is the guy who cooks my food. Arriving back to the boat, it was no surprise to see the engineer Rhett busy giving her a clean. When he's not getting greasy in the engine room, his favourite thing to do is wash Miaoulia. He's always keeping himself busy hosing down the decks, cleaning the windows and polishing everything that shines. In fact, all the crew take great pride in their vessel. And being a big night, it was all hands on deck. Even the captain got involved, albeit less hands-on than Rhett. Here it is, Araka from Kyriago. We're going to try it out and see what it's like. Problem is, we need a bit of feta with it to enjoy it. And a bit of bread, but you know what? I'm going to push the bread away because a kilo a week is what I do on this boat with Kyriaco. He just feeds me so well. Perfect. Cheers. Here's to Miaoulia. Simple but delicious. And no, I don't dress like this for dinner every night. The last evening of the Miaoulia Festival is when most of the pomp and ceremony occurs, as well as the main event. It's as though all the week's activities have built to this final night of celebration. However, prior to the finale, there's a parade or procession of luminaries. Leading the way are the Pondians, next comes the Navy Band, followed by dignitaries, clergy and military officials, as well as many of the townsfolk. The march travels around the port, making their way to the mayor's office. With them they carry the embalmed heart of Admiral Miaoulia from the museum. There is a somewhat sombre mood. However, it's a respectful celebration of the past that brings together people from all walks of life, from across Greece and all over the world. Once the procession arrives at the mayor's office, there are presentations to the various important people in attendance. It's essentially a moment to say thanks to those that contribute to the success of the festival, and a show of respect to the religious, political and business leaders that are in attendance. While the ceremony is going on indoors, outside the party is just getting started. People begin to gather around the port, searching for the best vantage point to watch the fireworks. At the moment it's relatively quiet, but give it an hour or so and there's barely room to stand. Throughout the week it's been one celebration after the other. The festivities have brought back to life cultural elements that you really only see during a panegyri or major event. From traditional dancing and costumes to music and even food. The Miaoulia Festival sure hasn't disappointed. Looking at the crowds that have poured into Hydra during the week, one thing I noticed was there were lots of foreign tourists. Naturally, the best seats in the house were occupied by locals. But to see plenty of folks from abroad making the effort to come here and take part in the festival was great to see. It was also fantastic to see families and lots of children present, not only learning about their history, but taking part in customary dances and embracing the culture. We're in the 11th hour of the Miaoulia Festival. It is just an absolutely wonderful backdrop here in Hydra. You just can't beat it. It looks exactly the same as it did 200 years ago. And the boat that I filled with fireworks is just over there and it's just about to go. We're going to see this absolutely wonderful spectacle of pyrotechnics and a burning ship, resembling the firebrand ship that went into the Ottoman fleet. Absolutely fantastic. I just can't wait to watch. Greeks love a good festival. We're always finding excuses for a party and to let fireworks off. In this instance, there's no better reason to celebrate than to commemorate the contribution the island made to the War of Independence. It's an intense build-up, with drums filling the air, along with the smell of smoke created by the flaming torches. It's incredibly dramatic, and I have to admit, the anticipation of what was about to happen had me on edge. Remember, there's 350 kilograms of fireworks in that boat. It's practically a floating bomb. I can tell you now, there's no way you'd catch me out there setting the boat alight. I get, I'll never lose my love of fireworks. I remember as a child looking to the heavens in wonder as brilliant colours lit up the night sky. I can still hear the explosions and feel the rumbling. That sense of excitement is no different today. Knowing what it represents, watching the fireworks and seeing the burning ship in the harbour gave me a sense of pride. It's a powerful reminder of the past. As flames billowed from the ship, more and more fireworks erupted from the buildings around the port. It might not have been as big as the New Year's Eve celebrations on Sydney Harbour, but it was moving. This is a fitting end to what has been an amazing week-long festival. This colourful and, well, noisy finale is as much about celebrating as it is about remembering. It's symbolic of a major turning point in Greek history, a moment that helped liberate and eventually unify the country. In the next episode, my journey through the Aegean continues as I head deep into the Argolic Gulf to the port of Nuptial. It was the first capital of Greece after the War of Independence and is famed for its mix of architecture, building styles that tell the story of different cultures having influenced the development of this unique port town throughout the centuries. I'm also headed inland to visit one of the oldest settlements on Earth, Argos, where I'll be exploring the story of what was formerly one of the most powerful cities in Greece. From the ancient theatre and pyramid of Hellenikon to temple ruins and a hilltop castle, there are countless remnants from antiquity throughout this region whose stories continue to unfold today. But before heading off to our next stop, I've got a night of celebrations to enjoy. The fireworks might have been the finale for the festival, but it's only the start of the party. When the light show comes to an end, the wine starts flowing and the music in the taverns fills the air. Nothing beats a good panigiri,